Good afternoon, Good Shepherd. It is December 2nd, 2020, and we are in the first week of Advent. So happy new year on your liturgical calendar. A few minutes ago, I was having a discussion with some of the parishioners about the gospel lesson coming up on Sunday. It was the beginning of the Gospel of Mark. We move into Mark in year B of our 3-year lectionary cycle. And so next Sunday, we hear the first 8 verses of the Gospel of Mark. And within those 8 verses are some quotes from the prophets Malachi and Isaiah. And I just want to begin with those and just bring up a couple of things that came out in our Bible study. So it begins, look, this is the quotation from Malachi, look, I am sending my messenger before you. He will prepare your way. A voice shouting in the wilderness, prepare the way for the Lord, make his paths straight. John was in the wilderness, calling for people to be baptized to show that they were changing their hearts and lives and wanted God to forgive their sins. Everyone in Judea and all the people of Jerusalem went out to the Jordan River and were being baptized by John as they confessed their sins. And we spent some time talking about wilderness. Wilderness in the Bible and Bible times didn't necessarily mean a wild place, although it could mean that. It mostly meant a place devoid of civilization. And we were talking about how even at that point, if you left Jerusalem and went out to the Jordan River, the trappings of civilization were gone. And and I was reflecting on this from our standpoint, is that it's really hard to get away from those things that provide so much structure for our life that civilization provides, that give us structure for our lives, everything from clocks to stoplights, everything else in between. And so we were talking about where are we in wilderness now? Where are we in wilderness now? And certainly, I think we've probably talked about this, or I've talked about this over the last 8 or 9 months, that COVID land is its own wilderness. And I think, yes, we can talk about that and going into the wilderness, coming out. But the wilderness had another meaning for the biblical folk. And the wilderness was where you went to meet God. And so way, 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 way back, if you think back to the earliest times that we have in the Bible. Certainly, you think of Moses and the Israelites leaving Egypt for the Promised Land, and they spent 40 years in the wilderness. Moses was there ahead of time in the wilderness and encountered the burning bush, and then the people were in the wilderness encountering God in all sorts of ways, so that when they entered the Promised Land, they had some idea of who God was and what God expected. Other stories throughout the Hebrew Bible talk about forays into the wilderness. And of course, Christians remember Jesus's temptations in the wilderness. And we think about how he overcame those temptations and how he wrestled with Satan. But I think that we forget that Jesus was there with God. The angels came and ministered to him, and then he left the wilderness. He went into the wilderness and he left the wilderness changed with a very, very clear sense of mission. And so I just, as a way to move into Advent, in addition to thinking about our sort of overarching theme of hope for Advent, is where are we individually, corporately, but I guess I want to focus on individually. Where are you? Where am I in the wilderness in this Advent? Yes, it's COVID. Yes, there could be other things going on, but what is our wilderness and how might we meet God in this place where some of the things have been taken from us, some of the things that have provided so much structure? How do we meet God in that kind of place? We've got a few weeks to work through it, and we will have that Advent come to a conclusion with Christmas. It will happen. It will happen. Few announcements. One, speaking clearly of all of those things about Advent and Christmas, is the Living Nativity is moving forward. But I was told, you probably saw an announcement yesterday, an email yesterday, was told this morning that really need about 6 more volunteers, primarily to be shepherds or wise men. So if you're interested in helping out, probably be a 30-minute stint between 4 and 5:30 on December 20th. If you're interested in helping out, being a wise man or a shepherd, you could probably be a wise woman. You can update it all. That would be great. Please let me know or let Deb Sampson know. And we can hook you up with the volunteer coordinator. If a reminder, and if you are on Facebook, you saw this, that The Christmas Mystery, this book that Susan and I are reading and recording, that is available on the website. So if you go to the Advent resources and follow the links, you'll find it. The first episode, well, a number of the first episodes and the first chapters are out, but don't read ahead. You can catch up by reading yesterday's, and you can read today's. They are there, and we will continue to add those up. Somebody asked a question after listening to one of them. She said, did I miss something? There weren't any pictures? And no, there aren't any pictures. This is just like a podcast, not a YouTube video. So for some of us, we can remember listening to the radio and listening to a radio serial where we would tune in from week to week and just hear the story. That's what this is like, only it's tuned in every day. And I hope you enjoy it. Want to update folks on Eucharist and YouTube and all of those kinds of things. Last week, we sort of premiered our live streamed Eucharist so that we could make drive-by communion available for folks from 12:30 to 1:30. We learned some things. We learned that the sound wasn't very good. That was microphone issues. We've addressed those and hope that that will be better this week. It is a work in progress, and we will continue to make adjustments as needed. But we have tested a couple of different microphones and find that the sound is quite a bit better, even if I have a mask on. Or the lay reader has a mask on. So please bear with us. We are doing the best we can with the resources that we have. And we will continue with that 11:30 Eucharist via YouTube, and then following that at 12:30 with the Eucharist available for drive-by. Please know, this is on YouTube, this is not on Zoom. And so I punched the button at 11:30 to start the YouTube experience. There's no real reason to go ahead of time. You're not going to be able to catch up with folks as we have done with Zoom. It doesn't work quite the same way with YouTube Live. So just be aware that that's the case. Just go at 11:30 and you'll be able to see the service. The last thing I think I want to bring up is that you probably saw this in the sheepskin, and I think there may be another, it may go out in the e-news today as well, is that we are looking for vestry candidates for election at the annual meeting in January. This year we're trying something a little different, partly because we are limited in how we can answer questions by COVID and those restrictions, but also because we thought we'd take advantage of what Zoom is offering. And so the nominations committee is offering 4 workshops or information sessions to ask questions and learn a little bit more about what service on the vestry entails. And the first one is tomorrow, Thursday the 3rd, from noon to 2. There will be another one a week from tomorrow, the 10th, from noon until 2. And then also for the next 2 Sundays following the service, there will be a separate Zoom link that will get you to a discussion point following the services. So you can have some conversation with some current maybe former vestry folk to learn what vestry service is all about. Now it's mostly the news for this Wednesday. I have been a part of a couple of Zoom conversations with folks at the diocesan level about prognostications for COVID and how long will we be in red rather than going to purple. Nobody knows. We are pretty much certain that we will be in red for quite some time. And so we very much want to make sure that folks know that's where we will be, not only as a city and the Tri-County area, but also we as a congregation, as the diocese, sort of leads us in the direction of safety and security for all concerned. So please love your neighbor as yourself, wear your mask, and when you're out, and be safe, protect one another. Blessings to you all, my friends. I look forward to seeing you soon.